So I've just come across Rita Ora's All Natural song. It was made yesterday, and I was going through the Angels Iva, Ive, which is Angel of the Galactic Federation, and I've come across this one. And okay, I'm kind of analysing in my head, and I know that I come across songs at a certain period in time because it's supposed to kind of help me have a conversation through the songs whilst inspiring me to say stuff. And I have had this challenge of what to do with Islam because I can't say Jesus is. People think Jesus is Christ. I think I'm Christ. You have to choose which one because I'm pretty sure Muslims will just be like, neither of you are Christ. I'm pretty sure most Muslims would deny that Jesus is Christ, and they would also deny that I'm Christ. So I've kind of thought that. I mean, up till a few months ago, I thought that was kind of what we was gonna do. But yeah, I haven't. I don't think I really included Islamic people in that, and I didn't really know. Like, I thought it should be the leaders of the countries because most Islamic people were in the countries that are Islamic. Hence, I didn't really know much about them. Hence, I thought the leaders should make the choice. But yeah, I don't know what you've done in the last few months, but you seem to have opened the borders to anyone, and you're just allowing anyone to flow in. And I've noticed this more and more in the last month. I mean, I noticed this, I guess, in June when every single person in my area seemed to be Islamic, and I didn't see one like maybe one or two, but that was it. And so I don't know, I know that this has been growing slowly, but I definitely noticed some sort of shift from June, July, August, and it's getting. And yesterday when I cycled through, I was just like shocked. I was counting how many people looked British, white British, next to none, like 2 in 100 or something. Like, it was really like no one looked British. Everyone looked like a foreigner. A lot of people were speaking different language. I don't know what you've done, but I think you've definitely opened up the borders, and obviously you've got some sort of plan. And I've never really thought about Islam that much because Islam was in Islamic countries, so I kind of like didn't see the need to really talk about it. But I feel like I must talk about it now. Why? Because every single person in Birmingham seems to be all over the world. Number of people as well, that number of Islamic people, who an Islamic person is because they cover up. I can't tell if an Asian guy is not, if an Asian person is Islamic or not, but if they're standing next to a woman who's veiled, I notice it. And I think it was 2 cycles ago I walked past and I saw at least 100 of them, 100 people that were wearing Islamic veils. And even when I went to Virginia Water last week in London, there was a nice park, and I've never really seen Islamic people go through parks. And during that sort of, well, it was about a 4 hour walk, probably a 4 hour walk. During that 4 hour walk, I saw 2 massive large groups of Islamic women. There was probably about 20 in each, maybe even 3. There might have been 3 groups. Like, there was a lot of Islamic people walking around, and I just like, is this like some sort of tour group? Have you just invited half the Middle East over here, and they're just walking around in flocks? They were walking around like a flock of sheep. They're all gathering together, and you recognize them because of their coverings and stuff. And I've never seen that before, and so I feel like you've deliberately opened the borders. And okay, I'm worried because I don't know how to deal with Islam, and I can't say believe that I'm Christ or believe that Jesus is Christ, because they'll be like, well, we don't believe it either. So, and I can't say I'm God because they won't believe that either. And so I don't know. But if you've been planning that, I know there have been a lot of people talking about a galactic federation and the belief that aliens are here and that they're going to expose themselves. And, if you believe that this religion that you've kind of formed is going to take care of all the Islamic people, then maybe this is the reason why you haven't started like using nuclear weapons in certain areas. I mean, the problem with nuclear weapons is it actually damages the atmosphere, it damages the climate, and I've heard that if an atomic bomb goes off in a certain location, that country would basically be so unusable that you won't be able to use it again for another 30 years. Like, I heard that if they tried to bomb all of Gaza, if you send nukes over to Gaza, it wouldn't just destroy Gaza, but it would like destroy the whole of Israel. Someone was making a joke about how we want to bomb all of Gaza, and they said they didn't care. And someone pointed out that if you bombed Gaza with atomic bombs, it would also destroy the whole of Israel. And again, they didn't care. So they weren't actually Jews; they were just people that that wanted to reduce the population, which is kind of what I want. So I can't completely disagree with it but I don't want, there's some nice areas. Jerusalem is a lovely place. There's some really nice areas that you don't want to be destroyed, and Egypt as well. There's I would hate for like the pyramids to, history the thing is, there are a lot of people in these countries don't respect it, don't respect things like museums or nice things, and therefore having an open border policy it is good if you've got some sort of galactic federation plan or some sort of galactic federation belief, and you feel like, I feel like you must have opened the borders and let lots of people just come in. However, I mean, I don't even believe that they are all coming in by boats. I'm walking around and I'm thinking, do these look like the type of people that you'd find in boats? Okay, some of them did. Some of them do. You look around and you think, yeah, he looks like a boat person. He looks like an illegal boat person. But I would say that because they look like they couldn't afford a plane ticket. But you know what? A huge portion of these people do look like they can afford a plane ticket, a £200, £300 plane ticket, or even less. Some of the plane tickets are like £30, £40, and it looks like you've just literally said, right, we'll do a passport check to find out who's coming into our country, but at the end of the day we'll let anyone in. And that kind of how it feels, and it feels like they've just chosen to stay. But I've come across this All Natural song, which is Rita Ora, the Angel of Choice, and I think maybe this is the reason why you've opened up the borders. You've opened up the borders because Islamic people, they don't worship me. They don't worship God. They have chosen to worship man. Their book is simply just about man, made by man, got man beliefs and manic beliefs as well. It's all man, and that's who they favor. And therefore, if you favor man, which is Islam, and the thing that they created, you favor the humans that are leaders. And if you want to live in a certain country and worship Islam, then you're basically worshipping the leaders only, and that's what it shed. And therefore, I think the leaders should be responsible for their people. Now, if you've opened up the borders and allowed millions of Bangladeshi Islamic people into the country, I think you should see that as these people now belong to the leaders of that country. They've chosen that country. They've chosen a religion that's got nothing to do with God. So they put their respect and their favor and then all their knowledge. I had a Bangladeshi friend. He was a neurologist, and he was really smart, and I did really like him. Like I spent a lot of time in his bed. So we weren't a relationship, but I had an attraction with him because I thought he was smart. And I liked him, and I thought he was funny and stuff. But at the same time, he had absolutely no ability to believe that I was God. Like absolutely no. Even though he was a neurologist and supposed to be smart and got a ton of education, his ability to believe that I could be God was just absolutely zero. And I know that this is, he was one of the better people from Bangladesh. And if you've welcomed people like that in, then great. He set up a company. He was making some sort of website, Kalabi.com. He was spending huge amounts of his doctor fees, he was making a lot of money as a doctor, and he was putting it all into this website, and he was doing good for the country because he was helping the economy. He was trying to set up businesses. He was trying to do things. He was ambitious, and I liked his ambition. Actually, that was the reason why I liked him. And he wanted to help me. He wanted to help build up a website that helps get people jobs, and that's kind of, he was helping me set up a coffee business or something like that. And I liked how he was trying to help people. So it was good, but it was only when I started realizing that his website was clearly going to fail, and he was just putting more and more money in it and into it, and he kept saying, I'm not going to give up, I'm going to keep on putting more and more money into this, and because I've put so much, I put about £200,000 into this website, I can't just give it up and not do anything more. But I feel like this is what happens with religion. People put their time and their effort and their belief into it, and then they get trapped into this whole, I've done this for a reason. God told me to do this. God told me to be Islamic. God told me to preach all these Islamic things. And therefore, if I start believing that my religion isn't the truth, that means that I was wrong about God telling me to do all these things. And they end up just falling more and more down the rabbit hole because they don't want to believe that what they believed in the past was wrong, and they don't want to accept it. And they keep falling down this rabbit hole. And I think how I would see it is when it comes to the people who have taken up a religion that's nothing to do with me. If you've taken up Christianity, it has something to do with me. You've got hope in Christ, and that is me, and I want people to have hope in Christ because it's me. So if you're a Christian, I feel like it's there's something spiritual about it. And Hindu, well, if you like the goddess, if you like the idea of the goddess, and you don't want to lose the goddess, you don't want to not be Hindu because you don't want to lose you believe in a goddess, you believe in loads of gods, and that's true as well. There's loads of gods. I'm not the only one. I was made by a god. The god that made me was made by a god, and you know, and I've made loads of timelines, and I don't know how many of them have gone on to become gods, but I know that there are loads of gods. So I too support the Hindu religion, and I don't know anything about the Chinese religion, but I believe in yin and yang, and so, you know, if you've got beliefs that are similar and are truthful, then maybe the voice in your head is correct. Maybe you do have the real spirit, the real God in you. But if you're believing in just lies, absolute lies, then I think then I feel like what happens to you should be your choice, maybe. But I think if you allow man to manipulate you and to get you to believe in certain things, you know, if you're allowing man to get you to believe that the Galactic Federation is the truth, you know, you have made a choice to give your power to that. If you believe that Islam is the truth, then you have given your power to that. But really, Islam has to fall, because Islam, I think it ends just by some big explosion or everyone becoming Islamic. And I think if there's a Galactic Federation that are about to start exposing themselves, you know, a lot of people are going to convert out of Islam. A lot of people are not going to become Islamic. They might say, you know what, I believe in this Islam, this religion, that this is Eve. Eve has returned. Eve can't do anything. She's just a weak woman, and we need to follow and listen and respect the Galactic Federation. You know, if you've chosen to do that, then that's what you've chosen, and these people are your leaders, whoever they are. And if you've chosen to live in England and you respect the leaders more than than me, then the leaders should be the ones that make the choice for you. So I mean, in this natural video, she's just being very, very sexual. And I did say a couple of days ago that a woman's body is kind of her power, like a woman's shape, and her sexuality as well is very good at drawing people in and stuff. And that is a good deception. But yes, I think the main message of what the song is just about choice is natural. If you want to be a leader, if you want to rule, if you want to make choices for other people because you think you have a better view on things or a better way of looking at it, you know, there is nothing wrong with this. It is normal to want to be a leader who controls. I was talking actually in the last video about China and communism. You know, I'm not in favor of communism because it's about putting the whole public all on the same level, all in the same category or in the same boat, and I don't agree with that. But the leaders, you know, they're good at leading, and if you want to make the choices for your people, you can do. But I would like you to base them on what I've said and things that I've said, you know, who I think are good people and who are bad people. You know, there might have been there still might be a lot of people that genuinely think that a man could not become a woman and a woman could not become a man. I mean, I believe in reincarnation, so I know that is factually possible to go from a man to a woman. You just need to die and be reincarnated. Can you have surgery and change yourself and have hormones and change yourself? Well, maybe. I'm open to that. You know, I'm not against that. So if someone thinks that you should die for having a sex change, you know, I don't agree with that. No, do not kill people just because they've had a sex change. I do know, though, there are a lot of people who have had a sex change but have only had it because of mental illness. They're not happy with how they are. They just want to be something different, and they've allowed themselves to believe that they are something different when really you should just be yourself. You should be a soul in a body, and gender fluid is kind of, I don't like gender fluid because I like masculinity and femininity. You know, I like this divide, but at the same time, all souls can be in either sex, so there is some truth to it. So you can't hate people if they want to be gay. If a woman wants to marry another woman, you know, that's not a reason to attack them. Before I came here, there would have been plenty of leaders who would have thought that if a woman wants to marry a woman, they deserve to die, and that's not how it is. You should like people for who they are, how they treat you, how they make you feel, if they make your life better, and the real connection that you have. You know, maybe you were a man and a woman in a past life, and you've both been reincarnated, and you've both recognized that you are now the same sex in this current life. You know, maybe that's happened and maybe you're together for a reason. So I need to tell people who is good and who is bad. But, you know, man does not worship me. It does not worship God. It worships the leaders. And maybe you've opened up the borders because you've allowed people to have choice. If you could live anywhere in the world, where would you be? You know, you've got to be careful, because you might find yourself bringing in a bunch of terrorists, people who want to blow up churches or blow up nice buildings. You know, there's the Middle East sometimes looks like a total shithole. Why? Because people treat the area like a total shithole, and people aren't going to spend money on a hotel or make an area look nice if people are just going to trash it and destroy it. And so you've opened the borders, you've allowed all these probably terrorists into whatever country they want to be in, and I'm really hoping that this Galactic Federation is going to start taking control soon, because we don't want these we don't want Europe to fall apart so much so that it can't be repaired, that hotels can't be fixed, that there's not enough money. I mean, okay, if a huge number of people are about to die, then I guess you could just like find all the money that's in their bank account and then drain it and say, you know what, this is going to be used to pay for the damage that they've caused. If you know a bunch of people have burnt a bunch of churches and they do have a bunch of money in a bank, then I guess that the owners of the bank will just get to keep that money, but maybe hopefully they'll put it into some sort of government that will help fix any problems and fix any. I think it's the work, though. You know, it's not just about giving money to fix hotels or damages. If police cars have been destroyed, you know, you have to actually pay car factories to make new cars or to fix windows or stuff like that. And it's work. You know, people are actually going to have to work, and people have been working all their life. They should be rich. They shouldn't have their tax money being taken off them just to house refugees in hotels. I mean, that just sounds ridiculous. Unless these refugee hotels really are about trying to get rid of people who won't be noticed, you know, that's a good idea. But if someone goes, if a lot of people go missing and their family are all in different countries, then they're not going to know. So maybe that's what the hotels are about. But I don't know. I don't know. But I'm getting worried, because I don't want Europe to be destroyed to a point that it can't be fixed or can't be repaired. Have you opened up the borders and allowed this to happen? Because you've got Islam under control. I don't know I don't know how to control Islam, because they don't accept me and they don't want me and they don't want anything to do with me. But if you think that you can control the Islamic community, the Islamic people, do you think you'll be able to convert millions of Islamic people into some sort of galactic federation, you know, organization where they believe that Eve is here and that she's some sort of key that will open up some sort of portal, and then you can just move people? You know, I don't know what to say about Islam, because it's difficult, but I'm hoping that things are going to start soon, because I'm getting anxious. I'm getting anxious at the amount of damage that might be caused over this, and also there might be a lot of good people as well that are just being filled with so much depression that they're thinking, you know what, maybe I should just convert to Islam and just be a terrible person because everyone else is, and that's also destroying, you know, the mind of good people. You know, when you have good people living with very good people, the good people become better. But when you have good people living with bad people or people with sick beliefs, these good people will actually become far more corrupted and will become far worse in their attitude. And the very good people will start just becoming good people, or will start wanting terrorism themselves, because, you know, I didn't want war. I didn't want any of this. And now that I feel like I'm surrounded by nasty people. I feel like I'm just supporting terrorism more and more because of the anxiety that I'm feeling over what is happening in Europe.